Today we're going to be doing some studio-like portraits at the comfort of our home to see what we can create with Kelsey being the model and of course me being the photographer. I'm going to be going a little bit through the motions of how I would go with a little bit of a studio shoot with my lights and everything that I've been setting up. So I'm hoping that'll help you out. So if you're ever trying to do at home studio kind of portrait shoot or anything like that, maybe my insight will help you out, and maybe I'll learn as well something different that could help me get better at what I'm doing so that, it's a learning experience for both of us. I wanted to share the behind the scenes of the portraits that we shot at home. My goal was to make some studio level headshots, and I wanted to use a 2-light setup to separate the model from the background to be able to get some well lit portraits and be able to experiment with poses, angles, and shutter speeds. Here are the end results, and I'll be sharing some tips that could help you out when taking portraits, and especially one of the best tips that'll help your studio portraits for a great experience for you and the model, so make sure to check them out. And we are done taking some little bit of studio type of portraits here at our home because, well, the weather kind of sucks outside and it was just perfect day to just experiment here at the house, kind of see what I would want to do for a type of studio photo shoot for portraits. One of the things that I look for when I'm doing a little bit more of the studio portrait shoots is making sure that my model feels comfortable. One of the best things that you can do is to make sure that you have a bit of a scenario where they can see themselves and kind of see how they're posing, making sure their hair is right, especially if you're a small crew. Especially for like myself, we're a one-man crew right now, which we're gonna have Kelsey be the model, so she has no availability to really help me out to make sure, let's say, another model's hair is right or anything. And sometimes you miss a couple things here and there as a photographer. Having a mirror in front of your model really does help out a lot so they can see themselves posing or fixing their hair to ensure that everything looks a lot smoother in camera when you're taking your photos, so you're not having to do a lot of it in post. Nothing is worse than taking a lot of photos, culling through them, making sure you have your favorites, but then after editing them, you still have to do too much high-end retouching and making sure everything looks too good when you have a limited time and budget. And most of these portrait shoots that you might do with kind of clients or something like that, you might get an hour because some people's budget doesn't allow to book you for longer, as well if you're renting a studio or if you're lucky to have something like how we have here at the comfort of our home. Well, that's something different that gives you a little bit more time, but regardless of that, you don't want to have your model become uncomfortable. So having a mirror really does help out to ensure that she feels good, or he or whomever you're taking photos of just feel more comfortable because they can see themselves, they can see their angles, they can see how they're posing, how they're feeling, and the confidence can start building up a lot smoother so you can take a lot better photos. For me personally, I think this was a great idea that Kelsey kind of brought to me for when doing this photo shoot. So sometimes if you have the access to it, one of the best tips that I can come up with, because Kelsey came up with it, but it's basically bringing a mirror into the equation when you're trying to do portraits to help your model sometimes see themselves. Something about having a mirror to kind of just see themselves and find the angles and everything that they would like and fix whatever they would need to helps out to create a better experience for both people. I mean, for the photographer and the model, so you're able to get the nice photos, and also it's just a lot faster in that aspect because they can fix whatever's needed, and then we don't have to do anything in post as much as possible, which makes it a lot easier when creating studio type of portraits, at least in my experience. I thought it was a great idea, and I've done something similar to it before in that aspect, but not to the extent of bringing a mirror, but more like I show the model within the camera where I can bring my kind of screen out so they can see it, and then that way they can kind of see themselves a little bit and then go from there. Obviously, it's a lot harder to do when you're on the go, which is when I have used this kind of method, but being in a studio kind of type of portrait shoot, kind of style of photo shoot, it helps out to be able to bring that with you. So if you're wanting to do that, whether it's at the comfort of your home or somewhere, never hurt anybody to bring a mirror that they can see themselves, and then you can use it to your advantage so that they can feel more confident and get their angles correctly so that you don't have to do as much post work. For me personally, having those experimentation shots and having a little bit more of the portrait studio shots makes it more fun whenever you have your model feel good about themselves and feel like they want to experiment with you. We're able to do a little bit more experimentation besides getting the typical kind of more perfect kind of type of studio portrait shoots, kind of the headshot type of shots, as well as with a slow shutter where you can get a lot more creative with your photos, get artsy with it, and then just add a different dimension with them. Sometimes the shoots won't go as according to plan when it comes down to the slow shutter, but it never hurt anybody to experiment. For myself, I like to always push boundaries if I can, try to shoot something that might make sense, and maybe it won't make sense, but you won't know until you do it. And if it's a scrapped idea, that's perfectly fine. That's what photography is to me, is experimenting and trying things out until I get an outcome that I'm happy with, no matter how many times I fail at it. So hopefully that will encourage you to do it yourself as well, because you don't want to feel like you're staying within the comfort zone and the boundaries that you've set yourself. You want to keep growing as a creator, whether it's with photography, videography, or anything that you want to do in life. At least that's what I think personally. Another one type of shoot that I thought was really cool to do is having her laid down on the ground, having the backdrop really roll out, or we could do a different angle and just kind of not worry so much with the blazer. The main center of attraction for the photo shoot at the beginning was using a blazer type of style with a sports bra type of top, and then just having her have her hair and just kind of do different types of posing with it. That made sense. But going into the ground with having her just kind of laid down and be able to have a different type of angle and portraits, it really was cool to kind of push limits that way for myself and for her, just to do something different than just the typical kind of headshots or anything like that for myself. I thought it was really cool to just kind of angle down the camera and be able to let her see herself. And this is where that other interaction happens, where if they can't see themselves with a mirror, because I can't really put it in the ceiling, it's good to have her see herself within the screen of the camera as I'm holding it down for her to kind of find the posing that she might feel comfortable with, or the angles that she might like, things that perhaps maybe I can guide her with by just telling her, but also it's better for her to feel that confidence. So for myself, it was just really cool to have those type of photos to be able to ensure that she felt confident, but also get different type of angles from just below and above and everything, so that she can get different types of portraits, and especially for me to be able to experiment with a different type of shot, especially using the backdrop that we don't really get to use that often here on the ground, more like just sitting up like how we are right now. So I thought it was a really cool experience. But let me know your favorite photo down below. I would love to know your thoughts of which one was your favorite and why, and see what you would recommend me trying out or doing for the future so I can improve my studio portrait photography. But with all that said and done, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, share this video, the friend will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.